Good morning, everyone. I am back in the kitchen after having a nice, relaxing 4th of July weekend. I hope you guys had one as well. So what I'm still working on is I want to take things that need to be dealt with, like things from my freezer, turn them into other products, if you will. We're going to make jam. So I have blueberries I had purchased last, actually, I think almost November. They've been in my freezer for a little while now, and I was planning on turning them into a blueberry syrup to do as Christmas gifts, and unfortunately that did not work out because we had to rush out of town because our daughter-in-law was going into early labor and we were concerned our granddaughter was coming early, so never got to that step. And since I don't necessarily, for me, I'm going to use blueberry syrup, I thought I would make blueberry jam. So I found a recipe still in my ball preserving book that is a blueberry lemon jam, and I really want to give it a try. So I have enough blueberries to do a double batch, but I'm just going to do a single batch first, see how this turns out, and then maybe take the rest of the blueberries and turn it into maybe blueberry crumble muffins or something like that. I have this big bag of wild blueberries, and so this is what I'm going to be using. Now I know a lot of, let me grab my scissors. I know a lot of people prefer fresh berries. This is just more economical, and again, I purchased it for something else. And decided that it wasn't going to work due to timing. So they still look really good. They're very little freezer burn on them, so that's fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started and show you guys what I'm going to do with these blueberries, and then we will just go from there. Alright, so for this recipe, you're just going to need a few ingredients. You're going to need blueberries, lemons, sugar, and pectin, and then lemon juice. Now I have 2 lemons to grate for it. The lemon peel you need. I've got my sugar measured out. Now what I don't have is liquid pectin, which is what the recipe calls for, so I'm going to use powder. And based on my research, 1 package of powder is going to be equivalent to 2 3-ounce pouches of liquid pectin. So we're going to try this out. This is why I want to do a single batch first, see how it works. So alright, according to the recipe, I'm going to go ahead and measure out my blueberries. I need 4.5 cups. So that looks like 4 cups. I'm going to go ahead and put them right into my saucepan. I'm going to measure out the other half a cup here. They smell amazing. This is probably going to make some wonderful, wonderful jam. Not quite. Okay, let me grab a different measuring cup. It's a little bit harder to tell since that's just in 1 cup increments. There we go, 4.5. Set those aside. So here are my 4.5 cups of blueberries. And so again, if you have access to getting a lot of fresh ones, go for it. Now what I'm going to do before I do anything else is I'm going to take my sugar and put it in my nesting bowl here. And then from all of my research that I did about swapping out liquid to powder, recommends that you take the powder pectin and add it into your sugar. So that is what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to whisk it together. And again, this is, never done this recipe before. And because I've never done it before, that's why I want to just do a single batch to make sure. I would hate to double batch it and then it not turn out. And not that you couldn't, maybe if like it doesn't set, you couldn't use it as, say, a sauce for pancakes or ice cream or something like that, but I still just want to give this a try. So let's get this whisked together. Alright, I'm going to set this aside. Okay, and so now what I need is a 1/3 cup of lemon juice, because so in our pot we're going to put blueberries, the grated lemon peel, and lemon juice into here. So I need 1/3 of a cup. Now I usually will take a couple bags of lemons from Aldi's and then juice all the lemons and then put them in the freezer. I pour it into a silicone ice cube tray, and that will give me little cubes that I can pull out. So I only need a little bit at a time, and it looks like I got exactly one. Let me double check here. 1/3 cup, perfect. So I'm going to add that in, and now we're going to grate the lemon. Now if you just have a normal cheese grater, you can use that. The side edge, that's fine. I've got a microplane. This is to me one of the essentials to keep in the kitchen. It makes for a really easy way to grate the lemon peel or lime or orange or anything that you need to do this with. I can link one below, and you guys can take a look and see if that's something you don't already have in your kitchen you would like to add to it. And all I need is 2 teaspoons of lemon rinds. I'm going to go grab my teaspoons. I forgot those. Okay. Go ahead and measure what we already have. Now I love lemon, so I'm going to not necessarily like flatten it out. I'm just going to drop it in there. And it looks like just that one lemon gave us more than enough. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to set this aside, because if I double batch this, then I'll already have it and I won't have to worry about it. Now if you use your microplane, you'll see there's a bunch underneath here. You can tap it, or you can run your finger underneath it to get all of that extra rind that is there. Don't run your finger across the top, obviously. You'll grate your finger and that won't be pleasant. Alright, now from here we're just going to go ahead and put this on the stove, and we're going to start to smash down the blueberries a little bit and mash them together. Okay, so I've got everything in my pot. I'm going to get it turned on. Medium-high heat. As you can see, got my pot here going because these are going to be processed in a water bath. And so I wanted to do that just because I want to make these shelf stable. So as these are starting to heat up, I'm just going to mash them down with my potato masher. And you're going to bring this to a boil. There's not a ton of liquid in here. You're going to get, as we continue to mash and as these thaw, you're going to get some liquid pulled out from it. But you're just looking for that liquid to boil before we get to the next step. Okay, so it hasn't boiled yet, but they're starting to become more liquid in the pot. I don't know if you guys can tell or not, but there is definitely more liquid as this is starting to heat up. So this is what you're looking for. And the mixture is starting to come to a boil. So we're going to go ahead and add the sugar and pectin. Again, from my research, the reason why when you're subbing out, you want to add the pectin to the sugar is so that it doesn't lump up. Now, if you're making freezer jam, you add the pectin to water and add that right at the end. I typically make freezer jam just because I feel like it has more of a fresh fruit flavor, even if you're using, say, frozen berries. Typically not strawberries, but if you're using a different berry, it'll still taste fresh. However, I don't have any more room in my freezer, which is why I wanted to take on this project to get the blueberries out, make something shelf stable to put in my pantry just to help free up my freezer space for other things. And so I have a freezer full of various freezer jams, strawberry to my summer blend, which is something that I created, and then I have grape jelly in my freezer as well. I know you can buy grape jelly, but it just tastes so much better making it from scratch and making freezer jelly. It's one of my daughter's favorites. So anyways, sugar is in here, and so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue to stir this for a little while. you're gonna want this to come to a raging boil, where no matter when you stir it, it's still really boiling, and you're gonna boil that for 1 minute. And then at this time, the sugar should all dissolve. So like I said, it seems like a lot at 6.5 cups of sugar, but it does dissolve, it does sweeten it, and trust me, it needs it. I tried it just a little bit. You could really taste the lemon, but it was very tart, so you want that sugar in there. If you want to do a low sugar, no sugar, you'll have to find another recipe and really watch those. They're very different. And actually you need different pectin as well to do those. And so I typically just stick with the regular jams and jellies because that's how my great-grandmother did it. Alright, so I feel like I've stirred and gotten the sugar dissolved. So I'm going to let this come to a boil, and then we're going to let it boil for 1 minute. Alright, so the recipe does say to continue to stir it while it comes to a boil, so that is what I'm going to do. Okay, so the mixture has come to a boil, and this is what you're looking for when it, sorry, I'm getting ready to set my timer here. When you stir it, it doesn't stop boiling. This is what you're looking for. You're going to continue to stir it, and I've got my timer set for 1 minute. So we're going to let that boil for 1 minute, and then we're going to go ahead and move it and get it ready to go into the jars to process into our water bath can. Okay, it's been 1 minute, so I'm going to turn off the heat, and I'm going to move this to get this ready to be processed. Okay, so here is my final boiled product, and so I'm going to go ahead and get my jars out and get them moved over. I have this clean towel here. It's just to put the jars on. Okay, so I had made enough sterilized enough jars to do a double batch, but I opted to, like I said, just start at a single. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and see how many we can fill. And we're going to give it, before I do a second batch, I want to give this a full 12 hours to cool and see if it winds up setting up. Again, I don't normally do cooked jams because I prefer freezer, but I thought for a blueberry lemon, this one just sounded really good, and I knew it was going to be a great way to utilize the blueberries I had, but also not stick something into my freezer. And when you're doing this part, don't worry about making a mess just yet. You'll be able to clean all this up. We'll do that once we get them all into the jars. Okay, so hello, this one needs a little bit more. We've got 2, 4, 6, 7. It says it should give us 8, so we'll see if we get close to that. This one's probably going to be more like blueberry jelly than jam, just because most of the blueberries went into the rest of the containers, but that's okay. I have some ideas for this already. I think I'm going to make a lemon poppy seed loaf cake, or not, like bread basically, and then instead of putting a lemon glaze on there, take this blueberry lemon jam and use that as a glaze. All right. Alright, so it did give me 8. Hold on one second, let me slide this over. Everything is hot here. This one's just a little shy, but this one's got a little, so if I could split it between the two, but it'll be okay. This jar's going to be really hot. Move this. I'll have to clean that one. I got that one pretty dirty. All right, so now we're going to take a wet paper towel, and you just want to make sure you wipe the inside and the top of the jar, just because you want to make sure it gets a good seal on there. If not, if there's something on the top of the jar, it's not going to seal properly. Now, you'll be fine to go ahead and just put it in your fridge and eat it, but you don't want to put it on your shelf because then bacteria will begin to grow in it because it wasn't sealed properly. So if that happens, don't fret. Just take it and stick it in your refrigerator and enjoy that one first. Or you can even take it out of the glass jar, put it into a freezer safe jar or container, and then freeze it. So now I'm just going to get all of my lids on here. And I did sterilize these ahead of time, and I checked for the rings to make sure all the rings were good. I did have to throw one away just because it was starting to rust out even on the lid itself. So this is why I keep extra in the house at all times. All right, one more. Where's my bag? Okay. Again, you don't want to tie them or tighten them too much, but I do like to make sure I do one little turn on there and spin it like that. A lot of people will just say as long as it spins like that, it's good. I just like to give it one little small snug turn. Again, just to make sure too that everything lined up and closed properly. Alright, so those are done. Let me wipe this off because I'm going to stick this back in the oven here. Okay, so my water's come to a boil, so I'm going to go ahead and get everything ready here. And so again, we got 8 half-pint jars out of this, so that's good. See if you guys. All right, it's going for 10 minutes. Okay, so after the jars have processed for 10 minutes in the water bath canner, you want to turn off the heat and remove the lid and set a timer for 5 minutes and just allow the jars to stay in there. And then from there, you're going to remove the jars and place them on a cooling rack that will allow for air circulation underneath and around each jar. And like anything that you water bath can, you're going to want to make sure you allow it to cool for the 12 hours that is required by the recipe, and listen for the jar lids to pop. You'll check those seals towards the end of the cooling process. A lot of times you'll start to hear the jars pop right away, and that just means the seal did take effect and everything is good. So I just want to thank you guys for joining me again today for this video as I work towards filling my pantry filling my freezers and doing all that stuff to make homemade from scratch food that we can enjoy throughout the year. Again, typically I will do freezer jams. They are one of my favorite, but I thought, you know what? Blueberry and lemon sound fantastic. Lemon is one of my favorite things. And so I thought this would make a really good shelf stable jam for our family to enjoy on a variety of different things. So anyways, if any of you have canned water bathed or even done freezer jams, comment down below and let me know what you've made. Share with me some of your ideas or your recipes, as I'm always looking for something new to make for my family to enjoy. Again, thank you so much for all of you who have already subscribed, and I will see you guys in the next video.